Uniform Show, episode 19. We have the NFL, MLB, and NBA. And we have 2 new uniform sets to review. So let's begin with the Arizona Diamondbacks. New uniforms. And it wasn't even that long since they had new uniforms before this.
No. A team that continues to change their uniforms on a regular basis. They don't have a real long history with any set, but they continue to change, even though they did win a World Series with their fairly original purple pinstripe set that were vests back in the early 2000s. But here we have more of the teal. The gold has been removed, and it's more unique, but at least in our opinion, there's a reason why you didn't combine the teal with these colors. The gold looked a lot better because it's just not a good look.
Yeah, teal and red certainly clash. I mean, there's a reason why no one else in sports that I can think of has ever even attempted this. So let's look at some of the individual uniforms. But of course, you have to have red and you have to have black.
Right.
Which are hardly unique uniforms at this point, especially with all the city connect uniforms, that you have even less individuality, you have less, I mean, everyone just has so many uniforms because that's what you have. You have this set, and then most of these teams have the city on top of it.
Yeah.
This is a look at what the standard uniforms are. So you have your home and road. And of the two, I don't particularly like either of them.
Gray, I would say the road gray is a little better because it fills the space better. And the home is a bit more traditional, going back to the World Series winning Diamondbacks with the A, but there's no pinstripes, so it looks very plain and empty. And at least with the road gray, the Arizona fills the space better. And it is sort of a off-white, slight cream for the home, which is also unusual for Diamondbacks uniforms.
Of the two, if I had to pick one I like better than the other, I will go with the road uniform. The home is in need of pinstripes, and it looks very plain when all you have is the logo there.
Yeah.
And the Diamondbacks have been a source of frustration for us for many years, and it's a team we've hardly spoken about over the course of, well, now it's our 19th episode that we've done here, and we are among the very few that are fans of the original Diamondbacks uniform sets and going back to the 2001 World Series.
Yeah.
We're not going to look at those today, but since they've gotten away from those uniforms, they decided to go from the purple primarily to more of this red look, like not enough teams have red in baseball.
Yeah.
To me, it's been a mistake ever since. And they blend in with the rest of Major League Baseball teams. You don't want to stand out for the wrong reason. I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
We're going to see a team later on that stands out for all the wrong reasons. I'm not saying you just have to pick a look that is you and separates you from everyone else. That's not necessarily the case. But you don't want to blend in either.
Right.
Just be another team here. So here's a comparison, a side-by-side comparison of the uniform they wore last year in the World Series compared to what they're wearing now in 2024.
Yeah, when they introduced the alternate set of this previous set they just had, and they had the teal numbers and teal trim, didn't like it then. And then what they do, they decided to go ahead and make it a part of every one of their jerseys with this new set. But big difference, of course, D-backs versus the A logo, no number on the new one, and then you have the piping down the middle of the jersey on the new one, clean on the previous one.
It's a hard one for me to pick. There's things I really don't like about both of them. I mean, I don't like the D-backs, and that number
is not the same color.
Is really bad, and it's that teal color.
Yeah.
It's terrible. And then on the other one, I don't personally like just piping very much. But I do like the fact on the new one that they don't have the big number there.
Yeah.
As much as I don't like the new one, I will say it is a slight improvement for me. Yeah. I say that with hesitancy. Just ever so slight. It's like from a D to a D+.
Yeah.
That's probably where I would put it.
It's a good way of putting it. And it's just another one of those examples. If you take elements from one uniform set and another and put them together, you might really actually have something decent, better. But no, they don't get it right.
Yeah, the hat is the only thing that's okay.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that saves this from being an F. That the hat design is all right, but then again, it's when you look at it that way, it's really very redundant because you have the hat logo and then the logo on the jersey is exactly the same. It's just larger. So that's the home uniform. But what's your pick? Which one do you prefer? I know they're both bad, but new or old?
That's really hard too, but I would have to agree with you and go with the new one ultimately. Just get some pinstripes in there.
But it's sad when you go the effort of making a uniform and it's hardly an improvement.
Right.
At all. Usually you brace yourself, especially in the NFL, that when a team, especially a team like this, a newer team in the league, changes uniforms, it feels like 8 out of 10 times it's going to be even worse. Yeah. Especially if it's already a bad uniform set, prepare yourself that you're going down.
Right. More trendy, worse elements.
Yeah. Seahawks.
Yeah.
Now here's the road. The road side by side. You have Arizona on both of them, and it's a large Arizona. You have the piping on the new versus the old. You don't have the piping, and then you have the letters being black with a red outline on the old with the numbers compared to the newer one with the red number or the red letters with the teal outline.
Yeah. Right away, that's the first thing for me, just the teal outline accent versus the gold. Gold is so much better. Doesn't matter, like we've said before, if you're original or not. If you have a look that's good, just go with it, and who cares? I agree with what you just said, that you do want to be original, but for the right reasons. And if you're not able to be original for the right reasons, then you just need to go ahead with what you have, even if it blends in a bit.
So which one do you like better? Have we improved the road uniform, or is it worse?
To me, it's worse. I would just stick with this original one here.
I agree. I think the home is slightly better. I think the road now is slightly worse.
Yeah.
So you stand about where you already were if you take it all together with just the home and roads. And yes, the hat is much better
Yeah.
on the the old former road now because, as you said, there's the gold outline
Yeah.
versus the teal. It just doesn't make sense. It's like they're trying to bring back, I understand, the teal from the original uniform set.
Yeah.
And I really liked the purple and teal together, and they worked well off of each other. It's almost admitting, well, we should have kept some of those colors. But to me, if anything, it was really the purple.
Yeah.
Because other than the Rockies, you didn't have a purple team, and the Rockies were black primarily. And the Diamondbacks were purple primarily.
Right.
So it worked. And I think if you do purple and purple can be done right, go with it.
Yeah.
Paul Lucas doesn't like that, but I feel differently. If you do purple the right way, it can work.
Agreed.
So those are the Diamondbacks. So overall, don't feel like we've improved with the uniforms here. We'll be waiting for new uniforms, and we'll always be holding out hope that they'll just go back to the World Series uniforms.
Right.
We could do a whole separate episode on the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
Easily. But they weren't the only ones that had new uniforms. The Los Angeles Clippers, the little brother of the Los Angeles Lakers, and even saying the little brother, I feel, is like it's giving them too much credit. Giving the Clippers, they're calling the Clippers a little brother of the Lakers. And what was really interesting about this one was it was announced and displayed while the current season was still in progress.
Yeah.
Before this season's even completed, before the playoffs, and showing off their uniforms for next year.
Yeah.
I can't remember that ever happening.
No.
So what are your initial thoughts about the Clippers?
Ever since the Clippers went away from the traditional cursive lettering, I've missed it and was hoping they would bring it back. And so to me, that's one of the best elements of this. But it would have been nicer if it was closer to what they previously had before they changed to the current set. The lighter blue, the arrangement of the name and number being a little better, and of course the red alternate here is just totally new and different. But it is a lot better than what they've had.
Well, are they making waves with this or not?
I wouldn't say they're making waves, especially since it's more of a throwback, but maybe in ways they are.
Yeah, well, James Harden is always expressionless. You know, when you see him out on the court or you're seeing these pictures, and if you're just taking the expressions like, hey guys, smile a little bit. I know that's not necessarily the look they're going for, but I like the cursive writing, I do. I like the home white, if it is home white. Let's just call it the white uniform. I do like the white uniform since you can't ever be sure. I don't particularly care for the other two to start off. And we're going to look at these a little more closely here. Let's just start from right to left. The white.
Definitely the best. Closest to the original, but the name is very high to me, it seems, and the number as well. Just all of it seems to be very high on the jersey, and the number font just really doesn't complement the name font well at all. There's just a lot of empty space below both of those things, both of those elements. And it looks very empty.
Yeah, really, I like that it's a clean look, the white.
Yes.
And I do like that the team name is back in the cursive font. But besides that, I really don't like the number, and I totally agree that it is too high on the uniform. So
Yeah.
that one's an improvement. The other two, the one that Kawhi's wearing in the middle there, I don't like the red. It doesn't work for me, that red Clippers on that darker blue uniform. The
Yeah.
white would be better.
Exactly.
It almost looks like the red, the number's a little lower. It just may be the way it's.
Yeah.
It probably is. Yeah, the red it does have a number lower, and I think that does look better with the Los Angeles. So I don't really like the blue, and I don't particularly like the red either. Of the three, I would say number one, the best one is the white. Number two, I'd go with the red, just because it's spaced out better. And my least favorite is the middle, the blue. Just that red Clippers, I don't think looks right. And if you had a white Clippers, it would work better.
Yeah, it would help a lot. Just poor contrast with the blue jersey and the red titles. And to me, I don't care if the number and the name are the same and they blend together. If they work together, go with it.
One thing I have to say about these, round neck.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that
They
up.
do have the round neck, and it's not a vest.
Yeah,
So overall, for me, it's an improvement. I need to see more.
yeah,
You need to see it on the court. I'll have to see some more pictures, but the first look, once again, could be better. They could have done a whole lot worse, though.
Yeah.
And I would say this is an actual improvement for the Clippers.
yep.
And then there's the logo. What do you think about the new logo?
I really don't like it. I can see how it's unique, but if you didn't know what it was, it's not instantly recognizable or identifiable. It's hard to tell what it really is. And it just doesn't complement the rest of their designs, especially the retro cursive name at all. They just don't work together at all.
Yeah, it does nothing for me.
Yeah.
This. I was a little surprised when I saw it. I wasn't saying to myself, "Oh, that's awful," but it was a bit of a head scratcher.
Yeah. And the fact that they're using this as their mid-court logo instead of the cursive Clippers is really disappointing.
Yeah, that's going to be a bad look.
Yeah.
Having that versus a very nice, underrated Clippers.
Yeah.
So Diamondbacks, I would say they're about the same. Clippers, I will say an improvement. Not what I would have picked, not what I would have chosen, but better.
Yeah.
We'll take that in the NBA.
Yep.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The old Clippers. Because when you're comparing this with the red, you have the white letters titles and numbers.
Yeah.
This is how you do it for a road.
Perfectly complementing each other, and the positioning on the jersey is better. It just looks so much more concise and coherent and coordinated.
I find myself as always saying, why couldn't we just go back to the turnback?
Yeah.
You know, teams don't want to do that, but if you brought this set back, especially this red, you don't need a blue and a red, use the red, you'd be in easily the top half of the league
Yeah.
for uniforms.
But just like with the Suns on the left, they missed the mark, an opportunity to really do better.
Yeah, that one still stings me, the Suns. We're not even going to touch that in this episode. The Boston Celtics. I am a huge fan of the regular Celtics uniforms. Every time I see them out there, I am happy. I am clapping. Whether that be home or road, the white, the classic white, or the classic green, and we have seen more than we want of these alternate uniforms for the Celtics.
Yeah. Every time we see something other than their primary white or green, it's a huge disappointment. And especially against certain teams, as we've already pointed out in previous episodes, like the Lakers.
Yes, why do they have to keep wearing these as much as they do?
Yeah, and that's one of the main points, as much as they do.
This was a big matchup. It was Eastern Conference power versus Western Conference power, possible NBA Finals preview, where the Nuggets were hosting the Celtics. And they wore these two uniforms. I mean, you want to talk about disappointing?
Yeah.
We've already said how we feel about. I disapprove of every Celtics alternate uniform, whether it be any kind of black, any kind of alternate green they've worn, or white.
Yeah.
So they wear those, and then these Nuggets, we have not gotten to these, Nuggets City Connects, or City Edition.
Yeah, once again, we are watching this live. It's a rare opportunity when these teams match up 2 times a year. And what do? They don't even wear their normal uniforms, so we can have that rare matchup. But both alternates, and both are greatly inferior to their normals, their regular uniforms, though we don't think the Nuggets have really any good uniform,
Exactly.
But still a lot better than this.
Yeah, that was an amazing acting performance by Porzingis there, getting knocked down by Jokic, where you have 2 Europeans going at it like that. I just gave this game such a huge thumbs down, and why should we even be surprised? When we have games like this during the regular season, why would you even expect the teams to cooperate?
Yeah, you just
with
expect
uniforms? Expect the worst.
You're shocked if they're not wearing alternates, and you stand up and give them an ovation if they aren't.
Well, we're just going to go to the NFL for a moment. And for me, the return of Jim Harbaugh is a great thing for the NFL. We lost Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll, but we got Jim Harbaugh back, and it took too long for him to return in the NFL. And with his return, I have never seen. I've said that a couple times already in this episode. I've never seen this, or I can't remember that. But how about this for a head coach having his press conference, and they have a helmet out there for the head coach
With the number on it.
and a jersey for the head coach.
Yeah.
And they look really good. They gave him the classic 90s quarterback. That's the helmet I always remember. That's the helmet that we grew up with quarterbacks. That's the helmet that Jim Harbaugh should be wearing. It's a Jim Harbaugh helmet.
And that's what he wore.
This is what Jim Harbaugh wore during his career. I love how they gave him the right helmet, and then they gave him the jersey too.
Yeah.
It was one of the neater press conferences. I only watched maybe a minute or 2 of it, but I have to really just say a welcome back to the NFL, Jim Harbaugh, and a rare situation where we can say, wow, the Chargers got something right.
Yeah.
They got the helmet exactly right, and Number 4 works really well for quarterbacks.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not see this, and you told me about it, and this is the first time I'm actually seeing it, and it's just as good as you described it. The only thing I could say, it would be even better if you put on the jersey and the helmet right there on the stand. Maybe he did, I don't know, later, but
Wouldn't expect it, but
yeah,
you have to go back and watch that press conference, that introduction. Welcome to the Chargers for Jim Harbaugh. Great helmet. And I look forward to seeing him on the sidelines and the Chargers wearing good uniforms during the season.
Yeah.
Very classy by the Chargers. They got it right that day.
Yeah.
And can we all just agree, if you're going to present a helmet, that's the one you want.
Yeah.
You don't want these chunky helmets with all these extra fasteners and holes through them and push buttons.
Yes. If you want a presentation helmet, that's what these are now for. I mean, if they're all retired and out of commission, then save them for moments like that when you want a good-looking helmet.
Yeah, you want to say you have class, you want to say that you're a first-rate organization, then put that helmet on display. Back to the NBA. The Utah Jazz have some of the worst, most uninspiring uniforms that I can remember in recent history for a team that has, not recently, but historically good uniforms. Their colors are black and yellow. Those are their colors. And this expression really captures it. When you go from the color that they had with their purple uniforms in the past, we love the mountain uniforms from the 90s. Big fans of those. And then they have this note. What happened here with the Jazz?
Yeah, it's like the Stars left and all the good uniforms went with them. They introduced these last year, and I heard somewhere that it was supposed to only be used for just last year, but I don't know if that was accurate or not now. They were carried over to this year, and they just look totally cheap and, like you said, uninspired. And for a team that's had such a great uniform history, going back when we were watching, like you said, the mountains with the white and then the purple, and then before that, the green and the yellow and the red, and even the set just before this in 2022, 2023, and previous to that was a lot better than this. It was somewhat of the throwback look, but this is just terrible.
Yeah, these are not just in the bottom half of the league. If we were to rank them now, I would say they belong in the bottom 5 in the NBA. Are they the ugliest? No. But very little thought of any kind or any attention has been put into these, and they are among the most boring uniforms, and the colors simply don't work in the NBA.
Yeah. Not enough contrast, too much empty space.
I'm very disappointed in the Jazz. And you know what? A man can actually admit that he's wrong. I have said many times that I could not think of a city edition uniform that is better than the standard uniforms. Well, I overlooked the Jazz. These are their city edition uniforms for the year, and they are similar to the mountain uniforms jerseys of the 90s. They're not exactly the same. You can't see it from here, but on the back, the names are below the numbers, which I can't stand.
Yeah.
But if we're just taking it for the front, these are far better than what they wear for home, road, or as an alternate.
Yeah.
Or any of the other alternates that they have. if they just wore these and they had one uniform,
Yeah.
I'd be cool with that.
Yeah.
So finally, a good city edition uniform
Yeah.
for the Jazz, because they've sunk in about as far as a team with good, respectable uniforms could go.
Yeah.
So for their fans, you got one good jersey to look at. But can you please bring back something like this, something similar to this going forward?
Yeah.
Because
Full
we've
time.
talked about amongst ourselves that what they're wearing currently now just screams for a new uniform set. It's just as if they were stripped down as bare as they could go because they were going to introduce something new, but they
Right.
haven't. Now here's a good one. Just recently, a recent matchup from this past week that I came across, because you have the Knicks and Celtics looking their best, playing in Boston, as it should be, no alternates. The blue for the Knicks and the home white for the Celtics.
Beautiful. And especially being at home for the Celtics, tradition all the way. And there's nothing you can complain about except for the leggings, stockings, because everything else is just perfect pretty much.
We understand it's an uphill battle with that, but we're not giving up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're just looking at the jerseys and the shorts, excellent.
Yeah.
I was waiting for this one, and they disappointed me earlier in the season, and I saw this, and I was like, yes, they finally got it right.
It is amazing
It's
because
like, I was thinking, well, what would we have to do? Wait till the playoffs
Yeah.
to see something like this?
if maybe. But it is amazing that it's almost a throwback just to have two teams wearing their regular uniforms. And we talked about it a lot in recent months. When do you just get two teams just wearing their standard uniforms at the same time, let alone traditional white at home and color on the road?
Very uncommon. It is. Just take a picture when it happens.
Yeah. And you got
Capture it
one.
while you can. And look, they're primarily they really are wearing good shoes, both of them.
Yeah, that too.
You got Brunson wearing white, and you got Brown wearing green shoes.
Yeah,
Whoa.
no alternate colored shoes, non-team color shoes. Yeah.
I'm impressed. Then we have the Spurs, and everyone's been talking about Victor Wembanyama, the rookie player sensation for the Spurs. And I'm not really complaining about anything here in this picture other than one thing. I don't like tall players, very tall players, and big players, 7-footers wearing single digits.
Yeah.
And especially number one.
Yeah. I have said it before, I believe. I've grown to dislike the number one so much that I wish it wasn't even available, especially in football. There's just so much empty space and it's so thin, but same goes here. It's a lot of length and
Especially
width.
on his jersey.
Yeah.
And when you're as thin
be
as
one.
he is and tall as he is, and you have a jersey that's that long.
Yeah. I
But
agree.
Number 10.
Yeah.
Number 10 would be better.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Tim Duncan was number 21, David Robinson was number 50,
Yeah.
and he's number 1. But again, you got to be different.
Yeah. But I agree with you. Everything else, white jersey at home, no leggings,
He's actually wearing black and white shoes.
black and white shoes,
Got to give him that.
which is basically a turn back.
I do want to see a round neck, though.
Mm.
That's my one gripe.
Right.
Round neck. But you got to pick your battles. Okay, this is one that I have not liked all season. And I don't care what the background is, what the connection with the city is, even though this is city edition, I just don't like these. They are a plain, boring, lame design, like so many of these city edition uniforms are. Yeah, they have a round neck, that's about it. What are you going to do with the Spurs? But there are so many I could go to, but I just don't care for these.
Yeah. Yeah, every time I see highlights of the Spurs and they're wearing these, I have to do a double take and go, is that really the Spurs? What?
Yeah. I mean, the font's bad, the numbers are bad. There's very little color. And, I suppose that does work. It does go along with the Texas look. But so forgettable. Very thin. Everything is very thin again. Just give it a thumbs down.
Maybe there is some history here. Looks kind of like a 60s, 70s type design, but
don't really
it's
care.
Not good
though.
history.
It's just weak.
Not good history.
It's just a weak uniform. And now back for some baseball. And this is the one I was referencing earlier when I said standing out and being original for all the wrong reasons. This is the one I was thinking about. And they have to keep bringing this one back.
Yeah.
The Padres. And I don't want to dwell here very long, but enough pine tar on the helmet.
Yeah, we were watching the opening series, Giants, Padres, and this came to our attention. It's the very beginning of the season. There's no way that you've accumulated that much pine tar just through natural touching your helmet as the season has worn on. This uniform set is hideous enough as it is, and then you gotta stand out even more, like you just said, by smearing a whole bunch of pine tar over the front and making it look like Swamp Thing green.
This is, if we were just do our 3 worst uniforms in the 3 major sports, this is there for me.
Yeah.
That's how much I dislike these Padres City Connects, because they are just a mess. They make me want to throw up. To me, it looks like throw up on a uniform. And then when you have that pine tar, it does look like someone was barfed on his helmet.
Yeah, it really does. The players seem to love these uniforms, though. The fans seem to love them.
Yeah, it doesn't
and
seem
Manny
like...
Machado loved them so much that he carried over the pink accessories to the next day. But
Right. Sadly, I don't think these are going anywhere anytime soon, but I'd love to see them all thrown in the fire. Now, we've had some changes with, and a lot of changes with the uniforms. Some of them we're not even going to touch for certain reasons. But here, what we're paying attention to is the change with the names. The names on the back of the jerseys. Major League Baseball has made a lot of decisions this year, and bad decisions with the uniforms to try and make them more up to date, to try to make them more comfortable for players. And as far as I'm concerned, they've struck out with all of them.
yeah,
So here on the left, this is what you had until this season, and then here you have the current on the right.
yeah. Yeah, as Giants fans, we finally got the names back on the jerseys. We grew up with them, and they look good. And then this year, they screwed them up like they did for every team in Major League Baseball. They're too small, they're too thin, and they're in this arcing pattern now, and they just don't go with the numbers at all, especially in the case of the Giants. You can see here, the numbers are very bold and big and just way too small.
And once again, on traditional teams, they look the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to mess with those, and we picked the Giants here first, but another one is the Cubs. Another classic, traditional, one of the most identifiable uniforms in all of sports
Yeah.
is the Chicago Cubs home. And look at the comparison, and this is courtesy of UniWatch.
Really highlights it well. The curving name, smaller letters, and then the number. And in the case of a single digit, it does work a little better, this smaller arcing name, but when you have the 2 digits, really bad.
We could go on, but we got to talk about the Yankees here. The Yankees road uniform. What happened here?
Yeah, they took away the white border from the numbers and the New York titles on the front. And we grew up with those. They've been around a long time, and sort of similar to what the Red Sox did for a few years, maybe about 6-7 years ago, stripping down the road Boston titles and numbers to just the basic blue. It just looks too thin and simplistic.
Exactly what I was going to say. Too plain, too simplistic for my liking,
Yeah.
and just that little white outline
Helps.
went a long way.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah. And you have the matte helmet on top of it, which we have never liked.
Thankfully, the Yankees are still the Yankees at home.
Yeah.
But they've really took a step down with the road uniforms, between the helmets being the matte helmet, and now put that aside, they messed with the jersey.
Yeah.
In some ways, I've even said over the years, I like the road Yankees even better than the home
Same here. Yeah.
with the New York. And this was a bad decision.
Yep.
And this is the Yankees. You don't mess with the Yankees. It's like when we talked about something done with, how could you mess with the Cowboys? How can you do something to the Lakers uniform?
Yeah.
Well, but this is the Yankees.
Yeah.
The Yankees are more significant than any professional sports team.
Yeah.
27 titles. I mean, the fact that you can just throw that out there. 27 World Series championships. The New York Yankees, the most successful team in American sports history.
Yeah.
Well, MLB season started in Korea. In Chanho Park throughout the first pitch. And Chanho Park was a real character from our childhood. I mean, if you can remember a drop kick, that was Chanho Park. So he throws out the first pitch between the Padres and the Dodgers. And I tell you, I wasn't expecting this, and this shouldn't happen.
No.
Under any circumstances, pick a team.
Yeah,
Pick a team, one team or the other. You can't wear both.
Yeah.
You can't please. Or he could have, even though I don't like this either, he could have worn a hat for one team, and then he could have worn the jersey. But to split it down the middle.
Yeah. It's the Podgers. That's what he's wearing here, the Podgers.
I
And
like that.
not only is it the wrong Padres uniform, he did not wear this. You're blending it with one of the best uniforms ever made in baseball history or otherwise, the Dodgers. And it's like, whoa. Definitely just pick one and pick the Dodgers.
Yeah, and of his career, I will always think of him as a
Yeah.
Dodger. He's
Yeah.
the one who gave up the 71st and 72nd home run to Barry Bonds. That's one of the things. The two things I think of are him giving up the home runs to Barry Bonds and then the fight he had with the kick.
Yeah.
That's what I think of with Chanho Park. But Chanho Park was fun.
Yeah.
You know, we don't get too much of that in baseball anymore.
Yeah.
But this was a bad choice. And I don't know who came up with this one, but it was the wrong choice for uniforms. So
Yeah.
thumbs down there. And that reminded me of something else from our childhood. Something that was never okay. It was when you had the Bay Bridge series, interleague, Giants and A's,
Right.
the split hat.
Yeah.
Again, because you couldn't pick a team. Pick a team!
Yeah.
Whether it be the Giants or the A's. Could you imagine this happening in New York during
No.
the Subway Series between the Yankees and the Mets? And the Bay Area does deserve to get ripped. To ever allow something like this to happen, where you're wearing a hat, a split hat of both teams.
Yeah.
Totally unacceptable.
Terrible.
We want to finish this episode off with something fun, something a little different. And Stephen A. Smith was wearing this on the NBA ABC Saturday Night Showcase.
We said magenta in the past, but we were corrected. It's fuchsia, and he was matching Malika in the panel on this night. And there it is, and it shows it. And you got 2 fuchsias on one side and 2 blues on the other, and yeah, I think they're all having a good time and making it at Stephen A's expense, because he
I mean, what else could they be laughing about that hard?
Yeah.
I mean, what could possibly be that funny other than Stephen A. Smith wearing the fuchsia suit?
yeah, and he's got striped socks too, so
So that's a wrap for this episode. Got a good episode coming up for number 20.